Jaden! I think that's over. Uh, hey, how's it going? Yeah, I don't quite know what we're going to do today. I know I want to clean up some stuff I haven't done yet for, uh, the level loading. I don't know what that message was. Um, I see. Uh, yo, French. Sorry, by the way, I just got distracted. Family is discussing what food. Yeah, plan for today is finishing up level loading, and yeah, I decided what were doing for level loading so far didn't really work that well. Like trying to connect the levels together. While in theory a cool idea and something I want to flesh out more at another time, I don't think it's what I'm going for this time. I'm going to mute the alarm on my phone. I don't need the notifications right now. Um, I I trust that Silic can make a good choice in terms of food. Anyways, what we did basically, I mean I can already switch to the game dev scene. What we did. By the way, am I audible? The music is a bit loud on my end, so it isn't actually weird. What we did last stream. I still don't know why the walking animation doesn't. Well, it's not your chair anymore. I'm sorry, that's the rules. Yeah, we have now a proper scene transition instead of trying to attach the levels together. Which, again, something I want to work out at some point, but not for this project. Yeah, I actually did the screen wipe relatively quickly. And in theory, it works in all directions. Like, it actively goes in the direction you don't... like, in the opposite of direction of which you enter the loading screen in. And in theory, it would also work if you jump into the loading zone. Or jump out of it, rather. Or fall into it. I haven't tested that yet, because I didn't have an opportunity to test it yet, but... Actually, we can test it really quick. Let me just add a level loading zone here. No, this is child of the other one. How do I unchild you? Unchild is a word I never thought I'd use, but... Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure. Also, French, what I wanted to ask you... I read that you had a storm around. I hope everything's alright? Like, it sounded like it was a pretty bad storm. Nope. I want to move you. And... yeah. How do you... what is your shape? Well, that's at least something. Still. You know, definitely storms are wild. Like, and I say that with us having relatively moderate storms over here. Like, I know the US has like a lot stronger storms usually, and this one goes down. And in theory, if this works, why are you up there? Almost. Why? Oh, because they're using the same rectangle, that's why. Um, that should be a new rectangle. Now to the second issue. Why does the screen transition not properly work? Yeah, just slide over the floor, why won't you? I don't know why that's happening, I still need to fix that, but... Oh. That's scary. Yeah, we occasionally have tornadoes, but like, not really. No. Like, not to the extent, you know, the US has. Which script is that? We have a custom script for that. Screen transitions. Oh, I think I know why. Because I didn't update the values correctly yet. So, yeah. No, that should be correct. No, I do actually need to turn the music down. Oh! No? I don't know why it's so weirdly loud for me. But I can't focus on a thought right now. Exchange, you get it a little bit higher. Sorry, I don't know, I've been very stressed and tired the last few days because a bunch of stuff with uni, which I'm hopefully done with now, but yeah. So my brain is still a bit mush. So that should be correct. But why are you moving? Because you're going down, not to the right. Yo, Dukan. Like, if we look at the screen transition again, for some reason on the second step it moves to the right. So screen transition. Shouldn't do that. Why does it do it? Yeah, and again, it's also just I currently stressed, so I need to focus on. Like, I have a hard time focusing because, you know, ADHD and all that. It doesn't make it easier. But yeah, why is this not working? It should. I mean, let me just. No, wrong. I need that one. And I need that one. But I don't see why it should change anything. Because the direction shouldn't change. But it behaves as if the direction had changed. I don't know why you start in this animation. Yeah, why does it do that? Unless I messed up somewhere. Screen transition. Yeah, the direction should stay the same. Unless... Oh, I think I know what's happening. Oh. Interesting. So, okay, chat. To quickly explain what's happening. When we enter or exit the loading zone, when we exit the loading zone, we call change level. Change level, first of all, unloads the player, which is not really relevant for us. It just means the player's gone. And it starts the screen transition. So, when it starts screen transition, it first uses this function in screen transition to start the transition, which gets us to the point where it covers the screen. So far, so good. We then connect on transition tween finished with the with this function which emits a signal that tells the loading zone that we have finished with the screen transition. Like, that the screen is now black. Then we go to that function that is connected to that signal. Yeah, I get what you mean. But also on the flip side, I can get that it's kind of frustrating when you always have to talk to someone twice to get their attention. Like, think it... Yeah. I mean, I get that constantly with Silicon myself, where we try to talk to each other, but one of us has headphones in and the other. Anyways, where was I? After we finish the screen transition, we connect the signal, we emit it, we connect it to the loading zone. So far, so good. So after the screen is black, we call this function. And this is where the error happens. We first unload the level, which means the loading zone doesn't exist anymore. So instead of using the direction of the loading zone, which doesn't exist, it uses the default value for direction, which is saved as a static thing by now. Everything in this project has access to this direction. So when I use direction, it's always the same enum. But anyways, the default value for this enum is right as far as I know. So I'm pretty sure that's the issue. Because the loading zone doesn't exist anymore, it doesn't have a direction anymore. So it just uses the default value. Yeah, here. I set the default value to right. For the direction of loading zone. And since the loading zone isn't loaded anymore, well, doesn't exist anymore, quote unquote, it doesn't know which value it actually has. I think that should just be fixable by changing the order of what I do, so that I unload it only after calling screen transition. Let's see. Nope. Where do I print this? Oh, I know where I print these values. I should probably get rid of that for now. Yeah. That's relevant later. Okay, that didn't work. Maybe if I save direction. Before unloading the level. Yeah, I can understand that. No, it still doesn't work. Now I want to know if it happens... Ha. I think I've broken some things. Game? What happened? The screen transition just stopped midway through. Oh, and now it crashed. But silently crashed, so I don't get an error, because of course I don't. Come on. I believe you this time. Yeah, I get what you mean. Zach. Loading zone. So that didn't work. No, no, no. Don't worry about it. You are allowed to talk about other things than game dev here. In general, I think game dev streams are always the best when they're just chatting streams in disguise. Can I give a variable? Statics dot direction. Does that work? Yeah, I think that works. And now in the screen transition I need to add yeah, that's why I'm currently thinking about how I give that function the value. Where I guess I should save the direction somewhere. So how do I do that? Do I just so dot bind direction. Like that? Or should it be statics dot direction in bind? No, no, it shouldn't be, because otherwise it wouldn't know. It worked! But now it looks kind of weird. And now it crashes again. I'm just confused because this didn't used to happen. And I tested it a lot last time. Show collision shapes off. Maybe it will work better then. Well, now it didn't work at all. I do have one. I do. Huh. What is happening? And I thought it was working. On the one hand, we added a new type. Oh, well, we didn't add a new type of transition. We just. Is that just. Let me try just walking into it the first time. That works fine. That works fine too. And the third time it doesn't work anymore. And the second time it already started lagging. Maybe I need to regenerate the screen transition every time I do this. Yeah. We should free the screen transition when we're done here. Yeah. That might be the best option. Currently screen transition is global. Yo, Frams, how's it going? I don't know, where am I? Ah, heck. Thank you so much.
Shut up and take my monies for straight up 20 years.
I can't believe it's been 20 months. Like, 20 months. It doesn't feel that long. We sure are. I mean, it seems that way. I trust Twitch can count. I don't know if I can count, but... Where was I? Project settings. Auto load. Yeah, screen transition is currently in auto load. I have hated unit tests for all my time. I'm not going to make unit tests if I can avoid it. I know I should make unit tests, but I'm not going to. I know it's breaking when it's breaking. Should... I know why I made screen transition and auto load initially, but I think I shouldn't. In hindsight, I really shouldn't. So now instead of instead of generating screen transition in the beginning, we generate it in change level. Screen transition equals screen. Yeah, we can take care of that later. Screen transition. Are you a class? No, you aren't. Now you are. It's true. By big dev to sell more dev kits, I don't know. Screen transition. Did I save you already? Screen transition dot new. Screen transition finished. Connect. And screen transition direction. And same here. I actually need to save screen transition somewhere. Can I... This isn't going to work if I make it a child of the screen transition, is it? Sorry. I mainly just need to find something that I set screen transition as when I don't need it. Actually, do I? Because this thing is not going to exist at the end anymore. Screen. Screen transition dot free. Actually, no, this goes into its own class. Bunk. I need to connect on clear finished. So I'm going to post this in here. That's very wrong, but on clear finished. And then I need a function on clear finished. Yeah, void. We don't need a direction because direction is... Well, at this point it doesn't matter anymore. And in theory this should work now. Ah! It needs to be in the scene tree. How do I add you to the scene tree? Ah. I guess... get tree dot add child. It's green. And I guess that works. It's probably... Oh, you can see what I did. It's fine, I just added this one line. Because I can... Because as it says here, I can't add the tween if the tree... Like if the node isn't in the scene tree. So let's try this again. It's still not working. One sec, I can hide this. Godot build. Add child. Why can I not add a child to the tree? Oh, because I need to find the root. Is find root the correct? Oh. Thank you. And that should work now. Now we find new problems. We'll solve them, one after another. Why is positional? Oh yeah, I watched that. You mean the bad guys one? Or did they drop another one? I didn't notice. Oh, they dropped another one. Issue 2, nice. Well, that has me excited. Nice. Okay, I'm excited for that. Transition is... What is transition? Why are you null? You are child or... Oh, because this is a C... Ah, yes. Well, that can be solved. Yeah. I am actually excited for that. So instead of screen transition.new, I'm... Load? Okay, preload. And then we just load the scene. That way it should have everything it needs. And I guess in that case I don't need to add it as a child to the tree. Okay, I do. I wasn't sure, just wanted to ask. Let's try this again. After I instantiated. Like that? Or instantiate after the preload. After the preload, I think. Yeah. First time worked. You missed that we fixed the issue, I think. I hope. We did the approach we discussed. It just took a while to figure out how I actually do that. But it seems to work just fine now. Which, yay! And this also confirms that the problem was where I thought it lied. I think so. Let's say it this way, I've did it 5 times now and it didn't really change much, so... I think it's working. I'm cautiously optimistic in saying I think it works now. Yeah. Nice. Next issue. Currently, we are just kinda unloading the player, which I don't actually know what function does. So, let's find that out. Unload player. For child in get children, if child is player, child.call deferred free. Okay, we just free the player. So what is our next goal after this? Ideally, the player should maintain the speed they had when they entered the loading zone. So... we should save the player data somewhere. The relevant player data. Where do we save it? This is not something we need to save long term, so it might just be fine saving it in level manager, but we might also save it as a temporary resource. Which I don't know if we just make it a node or a resource, because frankly, half the stuff we would get out of resource we probably wouldn't need. Since this isn't stuff we need to save long term. Probably. I mean, Silic isn't complaining, so I assume what I said is right. It's wonderful. I can just look to Silic to see if I said something so incredibly unhinged and wrong. So anyways. I know why you're saying that, but without context, this is oddly specific. Should we talk about that project? It's up to you, but I wouldn't mind talking about it, but... we need a new script. New script where? It's just player data. In players. Can move it later. You create new script. Actually, create new resource. If I can directly create a resource here. Oh no, Zach, I mean a different project. Silicon I had a project we were working on. Oh no, the other project I need to get back to as well. I have some stuff I want to do. For that project, there's a sprite I've been... there's a background, rather, that I wanted to do for ages now. That I'm pretty certain how I want to do it. I just couldn't get myself to do it so far because I've been busy as all heck. So yeah. But no, Silicon and I have a different project as well, which is going to take a while. Like, it's not a we're going to get done with it anytime soon thing. Player data. Is that the right sort of resource? It seems like it's not the right kind of resource. Oh! I'm sorry. Yeah, this seems like the wrong kind of resource. Create script. Player. Data. I know player's already in use. Inherits resource. I am upset. I'm curious why it doesn't add the template, but I guess because resource doesn't actually extend node. Did I save somewhere where I have the template? I probably have saved it somewhere, but I can also just steal it from here, since the script is basically empty. Don't do this, by the way. Don't just copy random scripts into other scripts. I don't, actually. I was thinking about it, but I have adopted the term of rubber ducking when I'm talking with people about programming, even if they have no idea what I'm talking about. So technically I'm rubber ducking all of you. Exactly. Also, I just really like the word rubber ducking. It sounds so much worse than it actually is. And I loved it. What data do I need to store in the player? Not you. Nope. I don't need any of the unready variables. I don't need any of the private variables because they are not really relevant. And I don't need the constant. I do need this export variable though. That I need. Actually, that one I don't need. Arguably, it should be private. Arguably, I'm not using it anymore, but that's another issue entirely. Direction I need. Direction input I kinda need. I mean, it's not really relevant, but... sorry, I hit the mic. Do I have state in here? No, I don't. Because I don't think the player actually references the state machine. Wait, where is the state machine? It is here, okay. Arguably, this should be a... Yeah, it should be a unready variable. Unready... State machine. Add unready variable. Actually, I should... Side note, I should actually make a sprite for a rubber duck for these sort of streams. That would be funny. Having like a rubber duck for you. State machine, which is just a state machine. And it shouldn't be capitalized, because... the player's... state machine. I just figured I should probably add that, so we can reference it in the... Weirdly, it's not an unready variable in the player data though, because it doesn't need to be unready anymore. In fact, most of these won't even have default values anymore, because the player data doesn't need to know what the default values are. Yeah, that would be fun. I need to figure out how to do that, but that could be fun. Then again, you all do have your avatars, so arguably you already are represented here. But then again, I'm always up for a good rubber ducking. No, I'll never give up on that word. I'm a monster. Anyways, ads are going to run in a little bit, so I'm just going to take a quick break, I think. That also doesn't need to be an export variable anymore. So yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, we back. I think. I think. I think. Nobody got that reference. Nobody. That's fine. Anyways. Where was I? Right, we wanted to save the player data. I am very good at the whole memory thing. I promise. So we have all this data, which is probably the right data. Now we add a public function here. Store data. And it gets us variable a player. Void. So we take the player. Actually, we just take all of these. Don't worry about it. I know this is currently screaming at me for doing everything wrong. With familiar music. Oh, yeah. There we go. Equals player dot direction. I don't know if we need direction input, but I'll just save it for now. Player dot direction lock. Player dot grav lock. Player dot just spawned. Player dot running. Player dot. Well, it's not particularly interesting. It's just filling out all these values. Player dot world hammer. And the most important part is player dot state machine. So we might actually replace the player state machine when we spawn them. And now for the more interesting function. Load player. Load data, rather. So... Oh. And then we basically do the same in reverse. However, for some values... Actually, for a lot of values, we need to save the default value. So I arguably shouldn't have even removed them. Well, that's what I get. Then it should be. most of the Boolean values. Except this one. This one is actually true. And you. And those, I think, are both 0. Yeah, those are both 0. What this does is basically it gives us, if the player isn't loaded in any way, shape or form from somewhere, it gives us a default value. Arguably, I don't know if we're going to use this one, so I'm going to hide it for now. It shouldn't be variable anyway. Okay, so now we do the opposite. Player dot direction, player dot direction, player dot direction, player dot direction, player dot running player. Now here's an important thing. What if we load this for the first time? Then we don't have a state machine. And we can't quite easily replace the state machine of the player. But there's actually a very easy solution for that. We just don't do it if we don't have a state machine. So if state machine... Should I write is null or equals null? Or does it matter? Okay. No. So, if the state machine is not null, then we set the state machine to the state machine we saved. Otherwise, we are... Important is also we should make the state machine a child of us, so we can store everything, that it doesn't get lost when we free the player. State machine dot get parent dot remove. How do I remove a child? That's something I have said. Actually, we can just leave it in the ether for now. Add child state machine. And in theory this should work. I just need to remove it as a child from the player so it doesn't, you know, get lost when we free the player. So yeah, now we just in the spawn point. No, in the level manager first. In the level manager, we'll before we free the player, save. We should save the player data here. player data dot new. Does that work? Store data player and oh, child, my bad. And then in the spawn point, which we find via level. Which I can't find from here, funnily enough. Level. In level. Level manager dot player data. And in spawn point we add a parameter to spawn player. Interesting. That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. Player dot no. Set player values, player data. Which is something we don't have here right now, but we'll have in just a sec. Data. Which is player data. And then we call in the end of this player data dot load player with player, and we need to add a player data. Okay, so now what we have achieved is we load when we unload the level we when we unload the level we store the player data, and when we unload the player we store their data, and when we spawn them we give them the data again. Which in theory should work, but we all know how well things work in this stream. So, rip. Oh, it's load data, not load player. I just named the function wrong. Let's try this again. It worked so far. We have been loaded correctly, even. And now... See, I can't tell if there's actually a difference. I mean, it's working, so... The problem is I can only really test if this is working correctly if... Huh. I don't know actually. What is your problem exactly? Wouldn't it be unloaded if I free the player? Which is happening in unload player. Which is why I'm... fair, I guess. The problem is I can't really test what I want to test with this right now. Because I don't have the speed booster. So me going in the screen transition doesn't actually matter much. Let's, for the time being, give this stage the speed booster, even though we're not going to actually use it. If I tried it the other way around. So if I now walk through the... Something changed. I need a bit longer of a runway. On the other end specifically, so I can just continue running. Ideally, in the end, the player would just stop doing everything they are doing and just continue doing it afterwards. For which I should probably implement an input lock of some kind. Which, I mean, technically we already have, so never mind. But if I spawn, I... Maybe. So I don't spawn with... because I don't have the speed booster in a level. Let me actually just temporarily, enable her speed booster here too. And then we run again from this stage. Because that's the main thing. Most of the other stuff the player can do I don't actually care that much, but we want that the player can still use the speed booster. Currently he cannot. Which means the state machine gets reset? So we should probably save the state the save machine is in. How do we do that? In player data. Player data. Yeah, we probably should save the state name. State machine dot current state. Is that it right? I have way too many files open. State machine current state. So Wrong kind of state. Player data. State name dot current state dot. How do I get the name of a state again? State dot name dot. So we need a new variable. Variable current state. Which so current state equals state machine dot current name dot lower, and if we have a state machine saved, then state machine dot current actually set state. So we just set the state, yeah. Or rather change to, not set, because, yeah. Dot change to current state. And in theory that should work. I don't know why this is happening. I genuinely don't know. That didn't work. Huh. So, first of all, in loading zone, before we do anything else, we should player. I really like Starline as a villain. Like, he's very evil. There's a lot of bad stuff, but I genuinely like Starline. Because, first of all, he has a point. Like, as a villain, his motivation is not bad. Like, he has a point. Both Sonic and Eggman are very much locked in an endless battle that doesn't go anywhere. At the same time, I feel like he doesn't realize that he falls into the same traps both Sonic and Eggman fall. Which makes him such a fascinating character. Plus, I really like just having another... like a third party, in a way. Someone who has the ability to be just as much of a threat as... Eggman. Man, how do I stop the process? Like, stop it from doing anything? The player. Also, one sec. Okay, yeah, the thing is I need to stop the player from doing stuff. Process. What is process mode? Process mode. Yeah. Denotes processing behavior. Yeah. Yeah, agreed. He's very complex because he wants to root for Eggman, but he realizes he can't. I also really like his interaction with Orbot in relatively early, where he discusses like how Eggman's plans usually go, like. Which, by the way, Orbot is such a good character in the IDW comics. You cannot believe how good of a character he is. It's stupid, but it works so well. How do I could pause the entire scene tree, but I... I can disable it, I guess. Process mode disabled. So... loading zone, player.process mode. I haven't declared player yet. Can I do it in... I can first call level manager dot pause player, like make a pause player function, and then we can properly take care of unloading the player later. Pause player void for child in children, get children without the capital C. Oh, that Hexen is streaming tonight too, that's cool. Maybe we can rate him later if we're going for long enough. I don't know yet. If child... the child is player... Why? If child is player... Oh, player. If child is player, then player or child dot process mode equals process mode disabled. So in theory that means he just stops after we enter a loading zone. Let me get that theory tested. I don't know, it seems like it's not doing anything. Okay. Let me try something different. Actually, let me try the same thing, but at a different spot. Call that before we change the level. So we immediately pause the player, but don't. Okay. But yeah, I really like all the more or less mini bosses in a way. From the vibe at least. IDW has. Like side bosses, villains, whatever. Like Rough and Tumble are also really great. Like, weirdly, of all the characters in IDW that I wanted to get to be in the games, Rough and Tumble are very high on my list. Because they would be such a fun, small scale threat. Because they have the Team Rocket energy of like, obviously they have just a stupid gimmick, but why is this not working? Trying to pause this. Can't stop the player from doing anything. Like, whatever I do, he just keeps going. Which is one of the two issues I have here, of being that it still doesn't seem to actually enter the state I tell it to enter. Which... Like, the problem that I'm currently encountering is that the code I'm writing is just not read. More than anything else. And it's weird. Because this should work. This should cause the player to be in process mode. Disabled. And I could technically do that in loading zone already, but like... I just... I'm just confused where exactly this goes wrong and why. Okay, set physics, process, pause. I too like to pauses. Why do I not have a global reference to the player? That's a good question. You know... Nah. So I guess I should add the player zone autoload. Or... Oh, I need a global reference to the player. Oh, yeah, I'm stupid. I just save it. I just save it. No, I don't even have an excuse, to be honest. So yeah. Now I just need to, when I spawn a player, add the player too. Do I do that in level, or do I do that here? Dot player equals spawn player. Because conveniently spawning the player also returns which player we spawned. So we can just return that. Anyone else that needs to know what a player is. You don't need to know who the player is. This doesn't really matter. That doesn't really matter. So now let's see if this works. Very much no. But kinda. Oh, I know what's going wrong. I know what's going wrong. One sec. I need to show you. So I know now that what is going wrong, or rather, I know that it's working now. It's just working wrong. Previously we didn't correctly free the player, but now we did. No, nothing like that. The state machine doesn't know the animation player, because the animation player the state machine has saved is the animation player of the old player. But we're not using that one anymore. The easiest method is probably to just save the state, to just save the anim player, like the animation player as well. And if either of them is null, we just... What? Pardon? Yes. But for that it needs to know which state machine. Not which state machine. Which animation player should play the animation. It doesn't have the animation player. Yes, but we are reusing the same state machine if we switch from one scene to another. We don't get a new state machine. We keep the old one, so the state machine knows in which state which arguably we shouldn't do. We don't need to do that. We don't actually need to do that. Yeah, arguably we just need to know the hang on, this class. Arguably it shouldn't know the state machine. It just needs to know the state. Because we don't actually need to know. Yeah. That's actually information we don't know. Or need to know. How long have I been muted? I've been having an entire conversation with Silic. Which apparently Silic... I mean, obviously Silic could hear me. He was sitting right next to me, but... I was wondering why nobody was saying anything. That's gonna be a what? I'm a very professional streamer. Very professional. Well, to recap, basically what I'm doing is incredibly inefficient and I shouldn't do it that way. So we're not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it a different way, but I'm not going to... That's fair. But no, seriously, how long have I been muted? Okay. Yeah, in short, we are going to need... we need to do it a different way. Which... It's... The way we currently handle it is kinda inefficient, and... Yeah, the whole thing Silic posted. About loading and unloading screens because it's unnecessarily slow. Things are cleaned up in esoteric, etc., etc., etc. You probably can scroll up and see the message. In short, that's currently what we're doing, and we shouldn't do it that way. So I'm going to fix that off stream. I'm too lazy to fix it now. Because I want to get to stuff that isn't this. But just out of curiosity, I want to see if it works. It kinda works. But now the camera behaves weird. I guess because unloading the player is now ironically fast enough. Well, that's weird. We'll put that to the later problems as well. To the now problems, we now have technically working level loading. And by technically working, I mean it's really bad. It's really bad, but it's functional. And that's the important part. So our next focus should now be on... I don't know, what is left to do? We have working player movement. For the most part. We have working levels. For the most part. Is there anything even left to do? Besides some cleanup. And obviously making the game, but... Because that's the thing. Basically all we have done so far is prep work. Everything we've done so far is just preparing for making the game. Not actually making the game. Is there anything left to do for that? I don't think so. At least I can't think of anything right now. We could technically make other entities, but like, it's gonna need some cleanup, and this is probably not going to be a very combat-focused game, so... I don't think we need anything more. So now we continue with level design, I guess. We're now at the point where we can just make levels. I need some sort of icon for the spawn point, because currently you can't really see it, but that's another issue entirely. So... So, instead of I mean, what did we have so far? So far, the player climbed a few containers and we have learned jumping, we have probably learned ledge grabbing, we have learned wall jumping, and we have learned, well, movement, I guess. Like, basic movement. We can now either introduce some more movement, or we can introduce some hazards. Or we just check if the player is good at all of it, and then move on to the next progress step. Which is probably getting the speed booster, in all honesty. I don't want to wait particularly long for the player to get the speed booster, because that's what the game's about. That's how programming sometimes just goes. You had a good idea, it didn't work, you get a better idea. Sometimes that's just how it goes. So, yeah. Not really, no. So... that's another thing. What is going to be the gimmick of this area? This area is currently kind of like a harbor area. Like, it has a bunch of containers, a bunch of cranes and scrap and... not a lot of, you know... there isn't... it's kind of like a mix of a scrapyard and a container, like a ship yard, container, storage, harbor sort of area. So we could have gimmicks with water. But I think introducing water as a big gimmick early on is probably not the way to do it. I'm kinda tempted to introduce some sort of gimmick with breaking floors, since we are introducing the speed booster, so it would be nice to have something to show off. Yeah, you're faster now, you can get over those. But it's difficult to do it in a way in which being fast enough is... I had it last time, the issue, when I tried to implement such platforms, that the way they fall is very... either has to be very fast or you can just walk over it. But at the same time, if it's too fast, it doesn't matter how much speed you have. The alternative is to make those platforms bigger. Which might just be the way I do it. Using bigger platforms instead of tile-sized platforms. And yeah, I have the code still. I need to rip it out of the planets, but I can do that. Ads are going to run in a few... So I guess I'll figure that out while we take a break, and then we can start designing this area a bit. It's time for capitalism indeed. I'll see you in a bit. Okay then. Wrong scene. There we go. Interesting. Yeah, I've also I've been looking there as well. I I think the dev streams of the Warframe devs are cool. I wish I had more time to actively watch, but you know, it is cool that they're doing it. Yeah. The question is, yeah. The question is, what do we want to do now? In which direction do we want to go? Because we have been climbing up pretty high so far. So I think we should kind of get lower again. Maybe focus on exploring a bit of a cavey, not really cave, but like cave-esque feeling. For like finding the Speedbooster. Because the quote-unquote plot for this is obviously that we're... Since the whole story of the game is kind of focused around the Speedbooster, like the main character trying to stop a bounty hunter from blowing up the planet, I see the plot kind of as, yeah, we were sent in this area to collect some hidden lost tech that was in one of the shipments that ended up in the scrapyard, so something along that line. I probably also need different backgrounds for the different areas, but we'll think about it when we get to it. But yes, that way I think the feel would be, like it would feel interesting to go into a cavey area. Also for that Metroid sort of vibe. Yeah, maybe something like a path, again with the platforms I've been thinking about, that fall down after a while. So... I think this is also a good point to teach the player. Yeah, I'm still thinking how I best design the hunter, like the bounty hunter. Because I want the reference to be clear, but I also obviously also don't want to step on Nintendo copyright, because Nintendo lawyers do be... Exactly. Don't want to get in... Yeah. And I think this is a good point as well to teach the player they can just go down. Like that going down isn't death. But for that I'll need to add a limit here, which I'm going to reduce by a lot. I just need to change the screen real quick so it gets drawn. A bit more. A bit less. Still a bit less. Uh, 460. I don't know. And then 400. On the other hand, it's on the other side. It's like what, 200, 100. Can't be a lot. Minus 100. Minus 150. Wait, I can check. I can check what the limit is. Lem 160. It's exactly 160. So 160 on this side. And the camera will, at the bottom, it will actually be pretty low. How much below the ground do I have the first limit here? 64, only 64. Might do a little bit more than 64, but this is very 64 is fine. This is very deliberate because that way you don't see how big of a drop it is, but interesting. You cannot wall jump up here. Or maybe you can and I just don't see it. No, you definitely can't. Yeah, that's the first camera. The other question that's probably interesting to answer is, can I jump? How high can I see there? Not particularly high. Let's make it like 256. Still a lot. Can probably even reduce that further. 96. Okay, maybe not quite as much. 182. There we go. And now we add a camera trigger. Paste. New rectangle. And that one is... The important part is that the camera triggers need to be relatively small compared to the loading zones. The loading zones, it doesn't really matter. But these should be somewhat small. Yeah, I have those at 4. Arguably, I should even make them lower. Arguably, they should just be 2. Because arguably, they really shouldn't take up much space. Fine. Because the smaller they are, the less likely it is that, you know, you get stuck in between. But really, it doesn't matter much. And limit A is going to be limit. Collision shape is going to be size. I don't know. I'm not very precise about this. I know. Yeah, that seems about right. And now I make that actually half of that, because... yeah. 91... and you go at 91 too. Wait, no. I'm doing this wrong. This should still be, but the position should be in 90... should just be 0. And this one should be minus 91. I said minus 91. Okay, and now we need a second camera. What? Parameter common parent is null. Why is it null? Main node. The collision... I'm sure it's fine. Limits. I need another limit. Two. Limit 2 is going to have a limit of... how much is the limit to the right? 460. Then the limit to the right would need be 140. Limit to the top is probably going to stay the same as limit 1, which is minus 82, 182, and bottom is going to be 264, I don't know. Okay, not quite as much. 164? Maybe a bit more. 200. I'm very imprecise with this, I need to figure out the values more precisely later. That shouldn't be minus 140, that should be 140. I get it. Godot, I get it. Just tell me where. Let me add 40 on that, 40 on that. And similarly add 40 on that. Just so we have a little bit more space here. Okay. Oh, I didn't set the second limit. I'm stupid. Okay, now it should work. But I'm thinking if I should make it... Yeah, I think I should make it horizontal instead. So this should be 2, and this should be, I don't know, 64. 120. And your position should be 0. And I need to move the camera trigger one to the right. So... And I need to change the direction of the camera trigger, because otherwise we're having a slight issue. Intended direction, it should be entered as down. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I need to figure out the values a bit more precise later, but this should be fine. It should never actually be at a point where it can get all that low. Can rescale that one then to be... Because the camera triggers only ever need to be as big as the camera... Like, not the camera trigger, the zone triggers can only ever need to be as big as the, well, zone. And then we need a second camera trigger for the next area. Which the next area is probably going to be focused on showing you that you currently can't get through those crumbling. Might even add some sort of bonus for backtracking with the speed booster later. Doesn't even need to be particularly hidden. Like just something over here in the wall that shows you, yeah, you can go through there. We can figure out later how we actually stop the player from getting through there, but I was thinking of adding blocks that you can break with the speed booster. But maybe I also just do something up here where you can, with the speed booster, get the jump height to get it. Which currently you don't have the jump height or jump distance to get that. But yeah, we'll probably have some sort of path up here that stops the player from going through. And this can be a deep drop. Like, I wouldn't mind this being like a, oh no, I've fallen really, really far kind of moment. Maybe even a level transition, I don't know. But yeah, something in that general direction. For which I will need to design the platforms here that fall down, which I haven't done yet. Which we might honestly do next time. Might be a good thing to focus on next. How late is it? Because I'm getting slightly hungry and Silica's tired, so I might just call it early. We have made some decent progress. We have been streaming for only 2 hours. Okay, maybe I go a little longer. I don't want to call it quite as early, but I also need to think about what I do next. But yeah, I do actually think it might be an interesting idea to drop the player into a loading zone here, so I guess that's what we're going to do. And again, I need to give it a new rectangle. And move it over here. And yeah, you fall through there. I need to change the path for that later, but magic should be weird. I mean, if it wasn't weird, would it even be magic? I need another limit. And your limits are going to be... Ah, no. I wish the limits would update as I paste them in instead of, like, as I write them in instead of... Which I thought they would do, but apparently they do not. Fine for now. Fine for now. And I should go as low as the collision, like as the loading zone, which the loading zone is at position 358. So you enter another camera trigger. Camera trigger 2, which has a different collision shape. More importantly is at too high and... No, wait, wrong. Too wide and... I don't know. I figured it out in a bit. Yeah. Why so tiny? I wish it was easier to move the collision, like the actual camera trigger, instead of the collision. But that should be correct. And your limit should be limit 2 and limit 3. Probably. I wouldn't know how to do that. But that's probably just me not knowing how to do anything. Oh, yeah. I should probably do that for all the camera triggers and collision shapes. Makes it a lot easier. Though, actually I don't know if that's all that useful. We'll see. The issue is that because I'm scaling them, I don't know how much that actually helps me. But again, we'll figure it out. Not a now thing to worry about. Camera trigger? Oh, I need to change the direction of the camera trigger. That would do it. I feel like that should have loaded. Oh no, because it's not facing down. So this is working. Somewhat. Again, for some reason the camera is now not working correctly, but... part of that issue is probably that I shouldn't remove the player. So, we'll take care of that later. Yeah. I don't know, we should probably take care of it now because I don't know what else to do. Actually, there's a lot of things I need to take care of. Let's make a list. Let's go through the things I still need to do in order. Rename you. You become to do. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is all stuff we don't need anymore. Okay, what do we need to do? We need to properly handle player when loading levels. Not unloading. Reloading. Okay, that's one issue. Next issue. Create entity. Entity. Class. By ripping code out of player. Next thing. We need more than one spawn point, depending on where you enter the area. Spawn point. Manage current spawn point in level to add more. Several spawn locations. Implement falling platform. By the way, I can't believe it's almost June. Seeing the Pride emote. It doesn't feel like June. Which admittedly isn't helped by the weather. Anything else I need? We should probably think about backgrounds, but... we should also sort these in several categories. Must have / fix. Yeah, time is going so weirdly. Oh. That sounds like a time. But how are you doing? Yeah. Successfully handle player when loading levels. Clean up. Then progress, in the sense of what is actually progress on developing the game, so making levels, backgrounds, etc. And how do I call that? Would be nice to have. So backgrounds are here, falling platforms are here. Entity class for now is cleanup. Technically it's progress, but it's priorities. And technically that's cleanup, but it's kinda important, so for now, that's probably how I'm going to sort this. It's probably not the most accurate, but I think that's... So we should focus on the handling the player first, as much as I dislike it. Okay, script. For the most part, luckily, I just need to handle this differently in... First of all, we can get rid of the script. It's useless. Because that's all data we don't want to save long term, so there's no point in saving it twice. Or saving it in a resource. I don't need to unload the player anymore. I still need to pause the player in theory, but I don't know how to do that. It's just not working. So I don't need unload player anymore. Player data is redundant. Spawn point also doesn't need to... You don't need player data anymore. You don't need player data. So instead of preloading the player, I guess we just don't need this function anymore. I'm still going to use it as a wrapper function, not even as a wrapper function, just as a function that is easier to search. And instead of player, we use level manager to player, and we save the player in the level manager. Actually, we don't need to return player anymore either. Oh. Spawns. There. Where is it still complaining? Probably because currently the level manager doesn't have a player. Oh, it does have a player. Ha! Right, of course it has a player. Actually, I shouldn't have removed half this code. I'm a moron. There's an issue. What if we don't have a player? If level manager dot player no. If we don't have a player, then level dot player do I need to add, instead of get parent, I'm just going to level manager. Manager dot add child. Nah, I think get parent. Not quite. We just add another player. And just to be safe, I guess I can return level manager to player. I should never need to use the return value now, but level. You don't need to set the player of the level manager anymore. The level manager can manage that on its own now, or rather, the spawn point does it now. I think that's everywhere where player data was used. Used, not lost. Alrighty. And level manager. And then we don't unload the player anymore. We just don't do that anymore. Actually, we should still have that function. We're not going to use it, but we should still have that function. Just in case we need it for something. So now, if we start... Ah, shit. Does the spawn point have a limit? Should have a limit. Why does this fail? No, this should work. This should work. Because it still calls set player values. So why do you not... Where camera? Guess this should... This should work. So why doesn't it? Because fundamentally, I haven't changed how this code works, especially on the first on the first run of the. What do you mean? Then what's the purpose of it? Do I just not call this deferred? Uh... Okay. Player already. Yeah. Oh, and we haven't defined player, yeah. Level manager dot player already. It's not a function? Okay. I mean, yeah, it makes... And it still doesn't work. It still doesn't work. The camera still doesn't actually... You don't see? Oh. My bad. There. I was confused for a sec because I couldn't find it. But yeah, the camera just... doesn't set up the camera correctly, still. Which is weird. Because that should be set in here. I mean, it should. Considering it's a child of the player. Why am I transferring limits? Because I'm spawning it in a new scene. And it doesn't know its limits itself. I just realized there might be a completely different issue. Are we even spawning the player? I just realized we might not even have a player yet. Yeah, I'm just not calling spawn player because I'm a moron. Of course we don't see anything. Yeah, I should have checked the remote. And it seems to work in this direction too. It still doesn't change the state of the player, like keep the state of the player though. Which is a problem. Which is the issue we need to... but we are not initializing the state machine in this case. Because we are not spawning the player anymore. We're using the same player. We only spawn the player if we didn't have one already. So... How can I... Because in theory we should just still be in the state. But I guess what I can try is... It should be the state, like the... So... a print where is the question. Probably in spawn point, but where? Well, I'm not saving the player data anymore, I got rid of that part. I'm just moving the player. This is the same player from the previous level now. Yes. Oh. Oh, no it doesn't. It shouldn't. If you are in the running state, it only cancels if you actively hold in the opposite direction of which you're running. You don't need to hold in the direction you are running. Well, yes, but the example I originally tested was in Chapter 2, in Level 2, and specifically the other. And not only do I spawn looking in the wrong direction, which shouldn't happen. The player is a child of... Good question, actually. Oh, remote tree, yeah. It's a child of the level. So I should make it a child of the level manager. Okay, I see. Yeah. Nope, makes total sense. Uh... Nope, still. I don't think so, not anymore. Told it not to do it, at least. Yeah, it pauses the player, but it doesn't unload it anymore. But maybe I think I know what the issue is. It indirectly does, because changing the level in the level manager, I haven't removed the part where... Currently the level manager just removes everything. And I forgot to change that. Because I thought it wouldn't matter. So I guess I'm just going to unload all levels instead. For a child, and if child is level, child free. And that should work. Answer, maybe. Oh, so sorry, I didn't realize the ad's already running. My bad. This is working in theory. There's only one problem. We are now paused. Exactly what Silic just said. I never unpaused a player. I also should pause the state machine. Uh... I mean, yes, but it still updates the state in physics process. Or rather, yes. Well, yes, and the states are updating sometimes. I know how the state machine works. I wrote it. Unlike you. I know it has its own physics process. It's where fixed update for states is called. This is how we handled back then, that the states can only update if they are the current state, because we don't give them their own physics process function, but rather give them the physics process of the state machine. That's why I'm saying I need to stop that, because a lot of states can change. I know, but I wrote the state machine and no, it isn't that way. Anyways, now that we took care of that, we should have a function unpause player. The player does have a physics process. The player's physics process handles behavior that's general behavior that happens regardless of which state you're in. While the states have their own fixed update function in which they handle their own specific physics behavior. That's how it was designed back then. That's how I designed it back then. I know in the past I've relied a lot on you implementing state machines, but this one I actually made myself. I know how it functions. Unpause, so true. Okay, and that we just call in spawn point. Level manager. Dot unpause player. And that should work, hopefully. I wonder if he can shot boost the speed booster. I know in Dread you can, but if we don't have the tools that would be used in Dread to do that. Because we don't have flash shift yet. Okay, I might need to make that a bit higher. You good? How did I do that? Okay. Now that that's working, uh, I guess the next question is, how do we make it that there are different spawn points for where you enter the level? But that might be a bit more complex to implement. Also, the camera is behaving weirdly here. Like it spawns up, like starts up here, which makes sense considering where we're in this level, but we'll see. That might be a completely different issue. And I might just give the player a new camera, to be honest. Yeah, we'll figure that out later. I have to increase the height of those limits a bit. So, like, 200. Sure. Just a little bit more so it's not weird. But yeah, I'll just assume it works now for now. Oh, my bad. I guess I'll have like a distance of 3 to the limit, just to make sure. Maybe 5. Just to make sure you don't... Yeah? Or are you just calling me out for using anyways a lot? In which case, fair enough, but also how dare. I did! Did you even know that you don't need to know a lot about programming to be able to make your own game? I mean, I don't know a lot, and I'm making my own game. In fact, you don't need a lot of skills to start game dev in general. There are a lot of games that have very simple art, that have very simple code. I mean, Undertale was basically just an incredibly long if loop. Or if stack, rather. Balatro as well. So... you really don't need to know a lot about programming. And that's, in my opinion, what makes this so great. You really don't need to know a lot. Okay. Yeah. So it's actually amazing how accessible game dev is to a certain degree. And of course, you do need some skills for it. But a lot of it you can develop as you go. So yeah, it's really cool. Okay, to go back to our to-do list. Did we properly handle player when loading levels? I would say we are properly handling them now. Good enough. Creating the entity class is not particularly interesting. I'm probably going to do that off stream. Because it's literally just ripping out half the code I wrote for the... Yeah, it is! And it's a really fun game. Like, especially now that they made it a little bit more... Like, a little easier, a little more accessible. It's really fun. How much time do we have left? Fuck it, let's just do it. Let's just write the entity class really quick, so we're done with it. Create new script. Entity. Class name entity. And like player, it extends character body to D. And now can reference entity. So what we need is speed and jump velocity, which actually I might handle differently, but I'll copy it for now. Nah, actually. But what we do need is direction. Yeah, direction and gravlog. So entity has a direction. The entity's direction cannot be locked because we don't need to lock it. The player has no control over, or anything has control over this. So we don't need variables like the locks. We don't need these because these are player specific. Except gravlog. Gravlog might be useful for the entity. Because by default it should be affected by gravity as well. And entity won't. I don't know if we will long-term have more than the player's entities, but it just, in my opinion, it's just proper to have an entity class in case you do want to use them later on, instead of just trying to have to fix it later. Gravity. We don't need an after image timer because it probably won't have after images, and if it does, it will probably have a sprite 2D and an animation player. It will have collision. So those are just the entity. The entity won't have as many raycasts as the player has, probably. For the time being. I don't think we're going to need an update direction function for most entities, because most entities aren't going to be as complex as the player. What we do need is a state machine. I mean, I guess we can do that. If I know how to do that. Actually, there's a reason to have it. There's actually something we need to keep here. Anything else I don't need, but this I actually do need. Flipping the sprite. Because unless the entity has a sprite that isn't flipped... Actually, that's an exception too. Dang it. Yeah, okay, no. I'll just keep it as template. Anything I need in... It's going to have a physics process. But most of this is not relevant. Running isn't relevant. All of that isn't relevant. Do I need set direction? What does set direction do? It checks if the player's inputting, which we don't need. Probably keep it as an optional override as well, but... It's very likely that we don't need it. Entity. And most of this is irrelevant. So yeah. And in play I just override those functions. I should probably add the documentation. Oh, this is a built-in function. Yoink. I mean, I don't, because I'm currently not extending entity, but that's more an issue of me not having over an entity rather than extended entity. Those are redundant. Because direction and stuff already exists in the parent class. Gravity also exists in the parent class. And those exist in the parent class. Those exist in the parent class. Now, we can update state machine and state. Because state machine don't actually... these are actually states for entities. Which doesn't really change much. It means we can rely on a few more things to be true. Now the price question. Do the states actually know? I'm actually going to close all of this for this. And just open one state after another. Pretty sure I wrote these states with them being player-specific states in mind. And turns out they don't even know. Because they don't need to know. Why should they know? Then we are done with that too. We have an entity class now. It doesn't really do much at the moment because the only entity class is the one entity we already had, but in case we decide to do something else, it's going to be useful. Manage current spawn point. No, I'm not going to do that right now. I need to think about how I solve that. So, yeah, we are done here for today, I think. I think I'm going to call it. So, thank you all for coming to the stream, it's been fun. Don't know if anyone's currently live who I would like to raid. Hexen unfortunately isn't live yet. Otherwise I would raid him. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff done. Stuff that I've wanted to get done for a while. And we finally sorted out the level loading, which is huge. This means we are done with that. We never need to touch it again. The only thing is we need to change the spawn point of the player depending on where they enter. Which is going to be a bit tricky, but I'm going to figure something out. I might just add like a system of letters for each spawn point and give the thing in question a letter. I'll figure something out. So I don't know. Anyone got any raid targets? I don't know if I want to raid the same people again and again. Especially because I've been raiding RPG a lot lately, so I don't want to raid him again, but... the thing is, I'm trying to find smaller streamers in my follow list I would like to raid, but... Eh. Otherwise, I'll just... Yeah, sure. We can raid Mendes. Raid Mendes. Let's make sure I actually spell Mendesi. Yeah, I know. I'm also kind of surprised how... I mean, there are a few bigger streamers, but I don't want to raid bigger streamers if I can find someone smaller. Because, you know, gotta support all the small... Yeah, it's very quiet. Beyond the world ending behind me, flames, Nibelheim... but yeah, Mendes is currently doing Frogger. I have no idea what this game is, to be honest, but I'm intrigued. Frogger's Adventure 2. Adventures 2. So, yeah, raid message. I'm tempted to make Who Plays Frogger the raid message. I don't have enough time to post a raid message. Just say hi. And use whatever rating mode you want. Bye.